Hello, you lovely internet people. I felt like talking about something that was on my mind for a while. A couple days ago, um, no, not about me. Microsoft unveiled, talked about their new Project Scorpio console thing, as well as their Xbox One S, which both support HDR and apparently 4K. It's upscaled 4K from 1080p. So let's say your game is 1080p 60, they upscale it to 4K. So it's not true 4K, but at least you can kind of get 4K 60 FPS. But the thing that I found interesting about it was that both Sony and now, actually, before I start talking about this, because I really need to do better introductions. But anyway, there's gonna be gameplay in the background of this. It's a commentary about my thoughts on the whole situation of Microsoft and Sony unveiling new consoles in a time where they're trying to play it off as, oh, it's still part of this generation, and it's just like, this is what PCs do all the time. You have multiple versions of the same PC, and then people play in harmony with their different types of PC. Well, not exactly in harmony. It is kind of pay to win to an extent. Let's say you have a computer that can do higher frame rates, then yeah, that's probably to your advantage. It's a kind of minute, but nonetheless advantageous. I don't know if the consoles will see anything like that. I feel that everything's going to be the same except for graphical fidelity between games and whatnot. But that's not the point of this whole thing. The point is that they're doing this whole kind of like a tier system where you got your starter end, which is your original Xbox One, your original PlayStation 4, and then these little upgrade path, which is like, oh, all you guys that were still on last gen, here's the money. Here is the money. And all you guys that got the current gen stuff already, you can upgrade to this, but you don't have to. You can stick with the old console and we'll still support it, is what they say. Now, I'm not going to. I don't really have a particular opinion on it. I'm just going to give up pros and cons. Pro is that it could be advantageous for us PC gamers because if the consoles have better graphical capabilities. Man, it got so dark. If the consoles have better graphical capabilities, then we could see the PC ports getting better because of the fact that they're so much greater. It's greater on the console side. And another pro is just overall the consoles can keep up with everything, keep up with the VR, keep up with all of that stuff. And in light of VR, it actually will definitely, for sure, make a bigger market for VR. Bottom line, I mean, it's without question. To get into VR now, on PC anyway, you need pretty hefty rig to do that. Even with AMD touting their RX 480 for $200 MSRP, it's still expensive barrier to entry. So if you have these consoles coming out, and then the consoles will ideally be bundled with whatever VR thing they have, and then you get these console people getting into VR, and over time it gets super popular because, let's be honest, console is very much so where a lot of the AAA titles and huge gaming fans and whatnot are on. That's why E3 is always tailored towards the consoles and everything of that sort. PC is more like, I don't know, PC is kind of weird because it has multiple communities. The console community is kind of more like a unified thing. Besides the console war, but the console war is kind of stupid. Now, another thing to note about the whole situation is that this new Project Scorpio thing is said to have 6 teraflops of GPU horsepower. Now, if that's correct, and this is an AMD SKU we're talking about. To put that into perspective, think about the RX 480, and the RX 480 is supposed to be over 5 teraflops of performance. Therefore, if they're in the same architecture, obviously, I'd assume they're using Polaris. If they weren't using Polaris, it would very much so surprise me. But sorry, it's hot in here. But where's my train of thought? This is what happens when you don't have notes or anything. But if it is to a greater performance than the RX 480, you bet your bottoms down right. I don't know what I'm saying. You bet your mother's butt that this is a VR capable. Let me put this up. This is a VR capable machine here. Now let's get on to the cons about this whole thing. Seriously, I just go all over the place with these things. I should really organize these, but I'm not going to because you guys get raw bits until I upgrade quality over time. But I don't have to yet. Actually, okay, whatever. But the cons to this is the whole thing with you're putting a stopgap in the middle of the generation. It might as well be a new generation. That's what I'm thinking. In my mind, it might as well be a new generation. Think about this. I believe the Xbox One and PS4, Xbox One maybe came out with 1.25 teraflops, and PS4 maybe a little more with 1.34 teraflops or something like that. I'm just spitting words out my butt. But with such a significant jump, like the PlayStation Neo, codename Neo, at the time of filming this, is expect to be 4.84 teraflops, which is less than that of the RX 480. It still should be enough for VR though. It might be a little above the R9 390. I haven't looked into it, but it probably is going to be VR ready and everything like that. But the performance isn't really what matters that much. It's just the fact that the performance jump is so massive just makes you think this might as well be a new generation. But they can't do that because the console gamers expect their console to last for a decade or more like 6 to 7 years. And they expect all these things, but it's just not happening because technology is moving way too fast for these consoles. I mean, look at the 1080 launch. The GTX 1080 has 9 teraflops of compute performance and freaking a boost clock of, what was it, 1633, or is that the base clock? Maybe it's 1800 megahertz is the boost clock. And even then, the boost clock is always more than advertised most of the time. So you overclock that son of a... You get 2 gigahertz of GPU speed, and geez, that's just sailing way above the heads of the Xbox One and PS4. Not to mention, it can actually do 4K. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the 1080 is the least expensive. Ow, I scratched myself. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the 1080 is the least expensive piece of hardware. But at the same time, you've got these things like the RX 480 coming out. And because the RX 480, I did the math and I looked at a current gen PC, a pretty capable PC with an i5 and whatnot. And with an RX 480 in it, and I said 250 rather than 200, the MSRP, because I'm thinking of the 8 gig version being a little bit more. And what I saw was you could actually have a pretty capable machine, apparently VR ready, at $900. Now, $900 is, while it is, let's say, $500 more than the PS4. The PS4 is the more popular console, so I'm going to use that as a gauge. So let's say the next PS4, PlayStation Neo, comes out at the same price as the PlayStation 4. So $400. $400, that's $800. Plus another, I think, $400 for PSVR. And, let me think. The accessories and whatnot. Okay, I'm going to say $500 for everything and the accessories for PSVR. And that gets you at 800 plus 500 is $1,300. So you're ending up spending $1,300 in this one generation. And yes, I will admit that the $900 thing, but the $900 is better. And let's say you get something like an Oculus Rift with that. That's $1,500 versus $1,300. I get that $200 is significant, but a PC is more likely to last the actual 5-year, usually 5-year lifespan, sometimes 6 years actually, lifespan compared to that of a PS4 in the console generation. Plus, you can upgrade the GPU, all that, all the fancy stuff that we talk about in the PC gaming community. And you don't even have to build it yourself. That's the whole point. You don't even have to build it yourself anymore. CyberPower PC exists. Origin's more of a boutique. They're kind of expensive. NCIX PC building. All these things exist. While you have to pay a little bit of a premium for them to build it for you and to be high quality and whatnot, it's still, in the end, it's still, in the long run, more worth it. Now, PC's always been like that. In the long run, more worth it. People usually want to pay up front for things and whatnot. But at the same time, if you're getting a product that's just generally lesser in every aspect, you really gotta think to yourself, should I just wait out this particular console generation and get whatever's on the PC when that console generation's over? Should I just shell out the money now so then I can have this capable PC that is almost guaranteed to last its generation? Well, not generation, last its 5 years maybe. Because all that's going to happen with PC games really is that you'll find the game that taxes you so much, so you have to start lowering settings. That's all. You can lower settings on PCs, so if you don't care about graphics too much, then that's part of it. But then again, if you don't care about graphics too much, you'd keep your Xbox One and PS4 and sail on with it. But I think the new Xbox, the new Project Scorpio and Neo are definitely going to be devices that, while they say it will be supplemental with the current gen offerings, I very much so doubt that they're going to keep that promise or anything of the sort. What you might end up seeing, in all actuality, is what I'm thinking, it would be a huge degradation in the normal Xbox One and PS4. It will be much like how last gen, like Xbox 360 and PS3, are getting shafted out the wazoo when it comes to the current gen versions being released on their consoles. Now, while those consoles are freaking 10 years old, or in the PS3's case, I don't think it's a decade old yet, but it's one of those things where I feel like they're gonna skimp out on the Xbox One and PS4 in favor of their new Neo and Project Scorpio counterparts, unless Microsoft and Sony get on their butts about that. Like, you have to make the PS4 and Xbox One first, and then use all the capabilities with the new end hardware. But then again, if they went that route, then you get worse games on the Neo and Project Spartan. And you don't want that, because you want people to buy the Project Spartan and Neo. So it's like, oof. We are in the strangest position when it comes to the consoles and their things. We've got Nintendo with their infamous NX console, whatever that's going to be. We don't know yet. Are they going to do VR? Are they going to jump on the bandwagon? Are they going to get third-party support? Is that going to happen? We've got Sony with their new Neo, which apparently pales in comparison to Project Scorpio. Let's hope Microsoft doesn't make the same mistake they made the first generation with freaking making their console with the Kinect and making it cost $100 more, because it really is a price game when it comes to these things. I mean, you see it with AMD. AMD is hitting the low ball, low end. the mid-tier people, the people that buy the mid-tier, so then they can get their market share up because they know they can't do it on the high end. So that was their plan. That's why they had the RX 40. That's why they had the console market so well wrapped up, because they need something to keep them afloat. Otherwise, we'd have no competition, and without competition, it doesn't help the consumer. So, is this beneficial to the consumer? Is my last question. What do you think? Comment down below. And in the end, it's just a matter of time and seeing how everything turns out. So I hope you all enjoyed my rant. Pretty sporadic, pretty random. I don't even know exactly what I was trying to say here. But if you liked it, like it. If you don't like it, you know there's a dislike button too, so you can express both your opinions awesomely. And if you want to express your opinion way better, then you can post it down in the comments. So thank you all for watching. I will see you all in some other video. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to be in Boston over the weekend, so expect no live stream. In fact, this might come up either Thursday or the day when the live stream would normally be. So thank you all. Bye.